I would put music and some audio cues in this intro, but I don't have any. Sorry.
Warning, if you have not seen whatever it is that I'm reviewing, this video may contain spoilers of key events. You'll have to consider this before watching the rest of the review. You have been warned.
I've alluded to it in passing, but never actually delved into it. Mentioned, but never explored.
I will always have a sweet tooth for a High School of the Dead, a Nosobi ni Ikuyo, a C3, and a Buttobi CPU.
Well, that's about to change, right here and now. Here it goes. Buttobi CPU, aka I Dream of Mimi, is a stupid, raunchy, nonsensical, hypersexualized, and shameless piece of ecchi trash done right. Released in 1997, this piece of pure grade, inflated smut features everything modern ecchis have, and yet is everything they wish they could be. A dumb plot, irrelevant characters, gratuitous nudity, sounds like a disaster, and if this were any other anime, you'd be motherfucking right with that, man. But Buttobi CPU takes what could have been a disaster and turns it into magnificent late 90s cheese. The premise? Does it need one? Do you need one? Oh, but of course Buttobi CPU just had to have one anyway, and that gets a point from me. We follow some two-dimensional student guy named Akira Takaoka, who is a nerd, and sounds like a nerd, and looks like a nerd, because he has glasses. That's how you know he's a nerd. And because he's a nerd, he wants a computer, but nope, he's shit out of luck. They've sold out. But before he can cry nerdy tears about not getting his nerdy technology, he encounters a raggedy-ass homeless man with a rape face in front of a shady-ass alley, who tells him that he has a computer for sale. Now, any normal person would have told the guy to piss off, pop a cap in his kneecaps, bang him with a shovel, and steal his clothes from his unconscious body, but that would assume that Akira McNerdiest had a nerd brain. Instead, he accepts the creepy guy's offer and buys himself a new computer. Except when he later opens the box, he discovers that he bought a naked chick. But she's not a hummin' beans! Yup, it turns out that the girl is actually a humanoid computer. But not just any humanoid computer, but a fighting humanoid computer! With fighting stuff for fighting, who can fight other fighting computers who also have fighting stuff for fighting! However, this comes with a rather interesting twist. Maybe even a release.
And I was saving myself for marriage!
It's revealed that she is a brand of fighting computers who are fueled by active molecules that's found in man juice, and requires the user to have hot steamy robo-sex with her in order to power up and defeat the bad guys. And the more jizz she absorbs, the more powerful she becomes. And before you ask, no, this is not a hentai. Or is it? Okay, I don't know, this thing definitely blurs the line. The nerd eventually names her Mimi, and after an epic battle, she is to be loyal to him for the rest of his nerdy life, as indicated by extremely forced marriage symbolism, and the plot continues to go buttfuck nowhere from there. If you got the idea that I'm not taking things seriously, what gave that away? Of course I'm not taking this very seriously, but that's because for how much of an ecchi this shamelessly is, Buttobi CPU has something I wish more ecchis had, particularly modern ecchis, and that is a little something called self-awareness. Right off the bat, Buttobi CPU sure as hell doesn't take everything with any real level of genuine seriousness, and that is the main reason why I kinda like it for what it is. If anything, it's all the better for being at least a little aware of its subject matter, and uses all its sensibilities by being as batshit as it possibly can. How does a computer teleport an entire human body into a virtual world just by touching a screen? How the shit can a computer summon a ball of energy in its hands? How the hell does one spunk translate into computer RAM? How did the computer monitors shoot beams of light that knock people out? Wait, did she just materialize out of that computer monitor? How is Nerdy Nerd McNerd's nerdy dick lighting up like a lightsaber without burning him? Did the people who made this show know anything about technology? Irrelevant! This is an OVA that argues that if you get shot in the dick by an electroplasma ball thing, you'll fuck around harder than an episode of Makaku City Actors. No shit! It doesn't give a flying bullshitting damn about your intelligence, but that's only because it doesn't have one of its own, nor does it need one. Hell, Mimi can fix an entire fucking house. Literally, with the power of sperm, can emit some stupid energy thing and fixes Akira's half-demolished house. Does this show require a brain of its own? Of course not! Buttobi CPU screams 1990s, and I'm not just talking about the art style and animation. I mean, you got CRTs, floppy disks, dated visual interpretations of the internet, wired telephones, tacky music, and this English dub. This cheesy late 90s to early 2000s English dub.
I've got to say that Shimada is one great chick. Of course, Mimi is the one I like better. Much better than Shimada.
You're in an Apple world now.
One computer virus.
Hey, a computer virus.
This is a new kind of virus, a worm. Instead of eating dirt, it eats data. See?
However, if there's one thing I'll give Buttobi CPU credit for, it's that it moves fairly fluently. Digital animation and coloring wasn't really in yet. This was the 1990s after all, so it has the benefit of being crafted by hand, which even in the worst shows at the time, still move well enough to look at least decent. Not to say the anime is remarkable in presentation, but at least it's one thing I can say with genuine sincerity regarding Buttobi CPU. That, and at least Buttobi CPU uses sex as one of its important driving forces behind the aimless plot, rather than only using it as a source for cheap humor. Something ecchis have an annoying tendency to do. Though, because of this, holy shit! Objectively, the show is pretty much one big attempt to pander towards a low level. In just its 3 episodes alone, this OVA is more expressive about its fan service than a share of entire modern ecchi animes out there. And considering how popular the genre is, that is saying a lot about this one. I mean, have you seen how many censors I've had to use? That alone should be enough to clue you in on just what this anime is. And yet, I like it. I enjoy Buttobi CPU, and it's not because of this, or even this. I don't like ecchis. I normally avoid ecchis, and whenever I do end up seeing an ecchi, I usually dislike it. Not really because of what they have, but by how they normally don't go all out with what they are, or don't offer anything of excitement beyond T&A. Point is, I hate it when ecchis don't realize how stupid they can inherently be. That's not fun. I want to soak in the stupid, but it's not giving me a reason. It wants me to be invested, but what's there to be invested in? Some ecchis can do this, plenty don't. Sitting through a run-of-the-mill breast factory can only do so much, and that's the advantage of Buttobi CPU. You don't care about the story, you don't care about the characters, and the plot doesn't go anywhere significant, but that's because you're not supposed to care about such things. What it does make you care about is the outrageous, campy things it shows, how ridiculous its concepts are, how profanely one-dimensional it is, and how proud it is to be so fucking simple, but pants-splittingly bonkers at the same time. Rarely can something like an ecchi make me experience what it is in all its idiocy and enjoy said idiocy, but Buttobi CPU does the job. It is trash, it is brain dead, it barely has anything to talk about aside from how many boobs it has, but I can enjoy stupid, crazy bullshit as long as it acknowledges the difference between being batshit dumb and trying to be batshit dumb. The factor that decides whether your story is a dull, derivative, boring slog or an ironically hilarious goldmine of stupid, borderline concussed, shameless fun. But alas, reviewing something like Buttobi CPU is almost like reviewing water, except water is a necessity while this OVA is not. What can you really say about it? What's there to evaluate besides how clean or dirty it is? Buttobi CPU is garbage, but it's garbage that has a soul that not many of its kind usually have. How do you make a review of something like this? Hell, what do you score it? If I judge it by what it is, I would be declaring it to be absolutely disposable and offensive by giving it a terrible score, and it is both those things, don't get me wrong, and yet my enjoyment doesn't really reflect that. I had fun watching this OVA, but for a variety of reasons that don't simply center around Opie. It's hard to review something like Buttobi CPU, and if I gave it a score and called it a day, it would be an act of dishonesty either way.